Welcome to RC4 Wireless. Today's topic, firmware updates. Luckily, it's pretty easy to update the firmware in your RC4 devices. First thing you want to do, go to RC4's website, download the most current firmware that's available. Second thing you want to do, you want to download the Code Loader software, which will allow you to do the firmware updates. Code Loader works on both Mac and PC. A couple of physical things you're going to need. You're going to need your RC4 device, such as this 4DIMM. You're going to need the Code Loader cable, which will allow you to connect your RC4 device to your computer. You're going to want your nifty screwdriver, and you're going to want a power supply. After you've installed Code Loader on your computer, you want to make sure you plug in your dongle before opening up Code Loader for the first time. We're going to plug it into the computer. The 1/8" jack is going to plug into the DMX port on your RC4 device. And now we're going to open Code Loader up. When you first open Code Loader, it's going to take a moment to process and figure out where your dongle currently is set up. And it's not going to be super fast, but eventually it will notice it. Like mine just realized that my dongle is currently plugged into COM3. Once it has figured that out, we're going to go in and select the firmware. When I downloaded the firmware, by the way, I stuck it on the desktop to make it easy for me to find. And I'm going to select the firmware, which is the 4DIMM. So I got the correct firmware. I'm going to hit open. And now it's ready to go. The next step is to make sure that my RC4 device is currently set up in firmware mode. And what we're going to do that is we're going to press and hold the function button while powering our device on. To make this easier, I found that I like to have an aviation switch, so I can just use a switch to turn on the power versus trying to plug in a plug and holding down the screwdriver at the same time. So we're going to press down and hold the function button. When we power this up, it's going to hold the green COP indicator on for a bit. You have 5 seconds to hit update on the computer before the RC4 device will revert back to its natural state. So I'm going to press and hold. I'm going to turn on. I got a green light. I hit firmware update. And there we go. Everything's working as planned. If the green bar moves from the left to the right, that means the firmware update's going the way it should. If the green bar goes from right to left, that means something went wrong during the firmware update. Usually, it just means that you didn't get the RC4 unit into its firmware mode before hitting update. It's pretty simple. Try again and it should work. Now, after you've done your firmware update, it will let you know that the write was successful. And then we need to restore back to defaults. That is crucial for this to work correctly. So what we're going to do is we're going to power off our device. We're going to disconnect our Code Loader cable. We're going to place our device into my nifty 3D printed holder. Makes life easier. You're going to want to grab a second screwdriver to be able to restore back to defaults. We're going to turn the power on. And then we're going to press and hold the function button and tap the button closest to the function button. In this situation, it's set A. When in doing so, you're going to watch the LEDs flash, indicating that you've now restored back to defaults. So it goes back to ID 0, it goes back to a 1-to-1 patch, and it goes back to an ISL slow curve in terms of this 4DIMM that I just reset.
Thanks for joining RC4 Wireless. Make sure you drop a like, ring that bell, and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with new tutorials coming out and how-to videos.